Last week, my father called me crying, begging me to move back home and become his full-time caregiver. 2 years ago, when I called him sobbing to say I had stage 3 cancer, he told me he couldn't deal with it because my brother's wedding was more important. I went through 6 months of chemotherapy completely alone. 36 hospital visits. 0 family members showed up. Not once. So when he asked me to sacrifice my life for him, I said exactly 4 words. The same 4 words he said to me. If you want to know what happened when I said them, keep watching. But first, I need to take you back to the day everything changed. I was 28, living in Boston, working as a senior graphic designer. I had my own apartment, a job I loved, and a plant I'd somehow kept alive for 3 years. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Then I got the call. Miss Bradford, this is Dr. Morris's office. We have your biopsy results. Can you come in tomorrow at 8? They don't call you in for good news. The next morning, Dr. Morris got straight to it. Stage 3 breast cancer. The tumor is aggressive. We need to start treatment immediately. I sat there in my work blazer, feeling like I was watching myself from the ceiling. This couldn't be real. Do you have someone who can drive you home? She asked. I didn't think. I just said, I'll call my dad. Here's the thing about my family. My dad, Stephen Bradford, was one of those men whose word was law. You didn't argue with Dad. You didn't question Dad. You just did what Dad said. My brother Austin was 2 years younger than me, but you'd never know it from how our parents treated us. Austin was the golden child. I was the spare. Austin got a full ride to Boston College because Dad wrote the check. I got told girls don't need expensive degrees and took out $87,000 in student loans. When Austin got his first job, Dad threw a party. When I got promoted to senior designer, Mom sent me a thumbs up emoji. Austin had just gotten engaged to Ashley. The wedding was set for October, 4 months away, and it had consumed my entire family. Every conversation was about the wedding. Mom had a Pinterest board with 847 pins. I walked out of the oncologist's office, found a bench in the hallway, and called my dad. My hands were shaking so hard it took 3 tries. He picked up after 2 rings. Bianca, what is it? I'm in the middle of something. Dad, I said, my voice cracking. I just came from the doctor. I have cancer. Stage 3. Silence. I waited. I could hear him breathing. Dad, did you hear me? More silence. Then, Bianca, listen. Your mother and we can't deal with this right now. I stopped breathing. Your brother is planning his wedding. The wedding is in 4 months and there's so much to do. We can't take this on right now. Tears streamed down my face. A nurse walked by and gave me a pitying look. You're a strong girl, he continued, his voice getting harder. You've always been independent. You'll figure it out. I have to go. Austin and Ashley are coming over to finalize the venue deposit. The line went dead. I sat on that bench for 45 minutes, just another person having the kind of day that splits your life into before and after. That was the last time I called my father for 2 years. The first day of chemotherapy, I drove myself to the hospital. The infusion center was on the 4th floor, a room full of reclining chairs, each one with an 4-stand and a small TV. The nurse, Nora, was kind as she accessed my port. First time? She asked. I nodded. Most people bring someone with them. I looked around. Chair 3 had a woman whose husband held her hand. Chair 5 had a teenager whose mother was reading Harry Potter to him. Chair 9 had an elderly man whose daughter had brought homemade soup. Chair 7 had me. Just me. I texted my mother, starting chemo today. I'm scared. She replied 6 hours later, after I was already home on my bathroom floor with nausea I wasn't prepared for. Hang in there, sweetie. Mom's at the florist with Ashley picking centerpieces. Peonies or roses? What do you think? I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed back, roses are nice. I didn't tell her I'd spent the last hour dry heaving. What was the point? I met Avery during my third chemo session. She was a nurse practitioner who ran a support group. She sat down in the empty chair next to mine. "You're always alone," she said. She had curly red hair and direct eye contact that made it hard to lie. "I'm fine." "I didn't ask if you were fine. I asked why you're always alone." I was 3 rounds into chemo, my hair was thinning, and I hadn't had a real conversation in weeks. "My family is busy," I said. Then, with my brother's wedding. Something flickered in her eyes. "When's the wedding?" "October." "And when's your last chemo session?" "November." She nodded. "We keep visitor logs at this hospital. Some people request copies later, for their records." I didn't understand why she was telling me this. But 3 days later, I requested my first copy. Austin's wedding was scheduled for October 15th. I was between chemo cycles, that brief window where I felt almost human. I wasn't planning to go, but I thought maybe I'd show up, sit in the back. Then my father called. "Bianca, about the wedding. Your mother and I have been talking. We think it's best if you don't attend." Hope flickered in my chest. Stupid hope. "You understand? You look unwell. You've lost weight. Your hair." He cleared his throat. "It's Austin's special day. We don't want anything to overshadow it." "Anything meaning me." "I understand," I said. And I did. The wedding happened without me. I saw the photos on Facebook while I lay in bed recovering from round 4. The caption read, "The happiest day of our family's life." I closed Facebook and didn't open it again for 6 months. 3 weeks after the wedding, the medical bills started arriving. After deductibles and copays, I was looking at $47,000. I sold my car. I canceled everything. And when that still wasn't enough, I did something I'd sworn I'd never do. I asked my father for help. "Dad, I'm in trouble. The medical bills are more than I can handle. Could I borrow some money? I'll pay it back." His response came 2 hours later. "Your mother and I just finished paying for Austin's wedding. We don't have extra right now. Have you looked into a personal loan?" I read it 3 times, waiting for a follow-up. A sorry or an "I wish we could help." Nothing came. $47,000. That was the price of my survival. My family had just spent $80,000 on Austin's wedding and couldn't spare a dime. I applied for a personal loan with a 14% interest rate. The worst night came after round 4. I woke up at 2 in the morning on my bathroom floor, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. My hair came out that night. Not gradually, all at once. I woke up to a pillow covered in blonde. At 2:47 a.m., I called my mother. 8 rings. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. At 3:15 a.m., I texted Avery. "I think I need help." She showed up 40 minutes later, still in scrubs. She didn't say anything. Just sat with me on the bathroom floor until the sun came up. My mother called back at 10:23 a.m. "Sweetie, you called last night." I had my phone on silent. Ashley and I were at the spa. Post-wedding stress relief. A pause. "What did you need?" I looked at Avery making tea in my kitchen. Then at the bald patches in the mirror. "Nothing, Mom." It was nothing. "Oh, good. Well, call anytime. Love you." She hung up. And I understood what family meant. 2 years later, I was cancer-free. The day Dr. Morris told me no evidence of disease, I cried in the parking garage for an hour. Just release. I'd been promoted to art director. I'd moved to a condo in Beacon Hill. My plant had survived everything I had. Avery and I were closer than ever. She felt like a sister. My family? I hadn't seen them in 2 years. We exchanged the bare minimum. Nothing real. And then my father called. It was a Thursday evening. I was making dinner when my phone lit up. "Dad." My first instinct was to let it go to voicemail. But curiosity made me answer. "Bianca." His voice was different. Thin. Uncertain. I need to see you. Not how are you. Just I need. What's going on, Dad? A long pause. I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Early stage, but... He trailed off. I need my family around me. There's a dinner Sunday at the house. I want you there. We need to discuss the future. Okay, I heard myself say. I'll be there. After I hung up, I realized something. In that entire conversation, he never once asked if I was okay. He didn't even know if I'd survived. I spent the next 2 days researching Parkinson's. Early stage isn't a death sentence. It's a slow decline. Tremors, stiffness, eventually difficulty with everything. It requires long-term care. Someone willing to put their life on hold. And suddenly I understood why my father had called. Not because he missed me. Because he needed something. And I was the logical choice. The daughter without a husband. The daughter without children. The daughter who had always been expected to sacrifice. I called Avery that night. You're going? She asked. I need to know what they want. And I need them to look me in the eye when they ask for it. Avery paused. That folder you've been keeping? Bring it. Not to use, but to remind yourself of the truth if they try to rewrite it. I hadn't opened that folder in months. But that night, I scrolled through 2 years of evidence. The texts. The call logs. The hospital visitor records with my name at the top and an empty column where visitors should have been. Sunday arrived. I dressed carefully, black slacks, cream blouse, cashmere scarf. I looked successful, healthy, like someone who had built a life without them. The drive to Newton took 40 minutes. My parents' house was exactly as I remembered. White colonial, black shutters, manicured lawn. The house where I'd learned that love came with conditions. My phone buzzed. Avery, you survived cancer. You can survive dinner. I grabbed my purse, inside it, my phone with the folder, and walked up the pathway. My mother answered. Bianca. She pulled me into a hug. She smelled like Chanel No. 5. You look wonderful. Come in. The dining room hadn't changed. The mahogany table. The crystal chandelier. The family photos on the wall, stopping abruptly around my 18th birthday. There was Austin's college graduation, engagement party, wedding. But me? Frozen at 18, awkward in a prom dress. Bianca. Austin approached with arms spread. Behind him, Ashley remained seated, one hand on her 5-month pregnant belly. And then I saw my father. He sat at the head of the table, but something was different. He looked smaller, older. His left hand trembled against the tablecloth. His eyes held something I'd never seen before. Fear. Sit down, Bianca, he said. We have a lot to discuss. My mother served dinner. Rack of lamb, roasted potatoes, green beans. The same meal for every important gathering. We ate in near silence. When the plates were cleared, my father stood. Or tried to. His legs resisted, and he gripped the table edge. I'll get right to it. You all know about my diagnosis. Parkinson's. It's going to progress. I'll need assistance long-term. He let that hang. We've discussed it as a family, and we believe the best arrangement is for someone to move back home. His eyes landed on me. Bianca, you're the obvious choice. Obvious. Not best. Obvious. You work from home mostly. You don't have a family of your own. I've already had your old room prepared. It's time you came back and contributed to this family. Contributed. Austin nodded. It makes sense, Bianca. I've got the baby coming. You understand? I looked at my father's trembling hand, his expectant face. And I smiled. You have a responsibility to this family, Bianca, my mother said softly. I've been working 60-hour weeks, Austin added. With the baby coming, Ashley's going to need my support. Think about what you're asking, I said quietly. We're not asking. My father's voice hardened. We're telling you what needs to happen. You're the daughter. This is what daughters do. This is what daughters do. I felt my pulse quicken. The old familiar pressure to comply. But that Bianca was dead. She had died on a bathroom floor 2 years ago, alone. Before I answer, I said steadily, I want to ask you something, Dad. He looked surprised. When was the last time you asked how I was doing? Silence. When was the last time you asked if I was even still alive? The silence stretched. What are you talking about? My father asked. I'm asking a simple question. You say I have a responsibility to this family. But when I was sick, really sick, fighting for my life, where was this family? Bianca, that's not, my mother started. No. I want an answer. Dad, do you even know if I'm still in remission? Do you know what my last scan showed? Another silence. You're sitting here looking perfectly healthy to me. Am I? I let the word land. Dad, I had stage 3 cancer. 6 months of chemotherapy. I lost my hair. I lost 15 pounds. I spent $47,000 out of pocket because you told me you couldn't help. My father's mouth opened and closed. Speechless. I'm cancer-free now. 2 years in remission. But you didn't know that. You never asked because you didn't care. I reached for my purse. My mother was crying now. That's not fair, she whispered. We were dealing with the wedding. The wedding. Austin's wedding, which was important enough to pay $80,000 for. But my cancer treatment wasn't important enough to visit. Not once. Austin shifted. Bianca, we didn't know it was that serious. I called Dad the day I got my diagnosis. I was crying. I told him I had stage 3 cancer. I looked directly at my father. And you said, we can't deal with this right now. Your brother is planning his wedding. I didn't, my father started. Yes, you did. I unlocked my phone and placed it face up on the table. Would you like to see the text messages where you told me you couldn't loan me money because you just paid for the wedding? Or the call log showing Mom didn't answer when I called at 2 a.m.? Or maybe my hospital visitor records. I scrolled to the document. Lines and lines of dates. One column repeating the same word. None. 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 36 hospital visits. 36 chemotherapy sessions. 0 visitors. Absolute silence. Ashley's hand dropped from her belly. She stared at the phone, then at Austin, then at my parents. My mother reached for the phone, then drew back. I don't understand, she whispered. Here. I pulled up the screenshots. Here's where I texted you my chemo schedule. Here's where you replied asking about roses versus peonies. Here's where I asked Dad for money and he told me to get a loan. Here's where I called you 23 times over 6 months and you answered twice. Austin grabbed the phone, scrolling through. His face went gray. This can't be right. It's right. Every screenshot is timestamped. Every visitor log is official hospital documentation. This isn't my opinion, Austin. This is what happened. I looked at my father. He hadn't moved. I don't need anyone to apologize. I just need you to remember this when you ask me what I'm going to do next. The silence was deafening. I didn't know, my mother whispered. You knew, Mom. You just chose not to see. Austin was still scrolling, looking for something that would prove them innocent. He wouldn't find it. My father finally spoke. This is the past. What's done is done. What matters is the present. I'm sick. I need help. We need to move forward. I almost laughed. Forward. You want to move forward? Yes. Whatever happened then, he waved dismissively, we need to focus on now. I need a caregiver. You're my daughter. Ashley cleared her throat. Stephen, did you know about any of this? My father didn't answer. He knew, Austin said quietly, horrified. Dad, you knew. It was complicated. The wedding, the timing. There were considerations. Considerations. I stood slowly. I picked up my phone and slipped it into my purse. My mother reached for my hand. Please, Bianca. We're family. Family. Let me tell you what family means, Mom. I didn't raise my voice. Family means showing up. Family means answering the phone at 2 a.m. Family means offering to help instead of throwing 80,000 at a party. Family means visiting your daughter in the hospital. Once. Just once. My mother's face crumpled. I spent 6 months fighting for my life. 6 months of poison and vomiting and terror. And where was my family? Planning seating charts. Tasting cakes. Picking flowers. Bianca, my father tried. No. You don't get to Bianca me anymore. I am not your backup plan. I am not the daughter you call when you need something and ignore when you don't. I grabbed my purse and scarf. You have a son. A son you paid 80,000 for his wedding. Why don't you ask him to be your caregiver? Austin's head snapped up. I can't. I have responsibilities. So did I. I had a job. I had a life. I had cancer. And I handled all of it alone because you were all too busy. I started toward the door. Bianca, please. My father's voice broke. I'm begging you. I stopped. Turned. My father was crying. I'd never seen him cry. Not once in 30 years. Tears streamed down his face. I'm sorry, he choked out. I know I handled it wrong, but I'm scared. I'm scared of what's coming. I need you. You're my daughter. For a moment, I felt the old pull. The desperate need to be loved, to be wanted. But that little girl had grown up. She had survived cancer alone. She had rebuilt her life from nothing. She didn't need Stephen Bradford's approval anymore. Dad, I said steadily, I hear you, and I understand you're scared. But there's something I need you to hear. I took one step closer. 2 years ago, I called you crying. I told you I had cancer. I told you I was terrified. And you know what you said? He didn't answer. You said, we can't deal with this right now. I let the words settle. So here's my answer, Dad. I smiled. Not bitter. Not angry. Just peaceful. I can't deal with this right now. 4 words. The exact same words he'd said to me. My mother gasped. Austin's jaw dropped. My father stared at me, tears still falling. I turned and walked out. Past the family photos that didn't include me. Past the chandelier and furniture. Past my mother who reached for me and dropped her hand. Bianca, Austin called. Wait. I didn't wait. I opened the front door and kept walking. The cool air hit my face like relief. Behind me, the door opened again. Footsteps. My mother's voice, desperate. Please. We're your family. We love you. I stopped at my car and turned. Mom, I said gently, family doesn't leave you alone to die. And love isn't something you only offer when you need something in return. Her face crumpled. For a moment, I felt grief for the mother she could have been. Goodbye, Mom. I got in my car, started the engine. In the rear view, I could see them. My mother on the pathway. My father in the doorway, supported by Austin. Ashley behind them, watching. I pulled out of the driveway. And I didn't look back. The cashmere scarf was soft against my neck. The road ahead was clear. For the first time in 30 years, I could breathe. 1 week later, my mother called. I answered out of curiosity. Bianca, her voice was tired. I wanted you to know what's happening here. Okay. Austin has had to take a leave of absence from work. Your father's progressing faster than they thought. He needs daily assistance. I listened. Austin is doing it. With Ashley pregnant, they couldn't afford a caregiver, and your father refused a nursing home. A pause. Austin missed an important project. There's talk he might be passed over for his promotion. I thought about Austin, who had never been asked to sacrifice anything. I'm sorry to hear that. Ashley is stressed. They're fighting constantly. She stopped. She says she's starting to understand why you left. Ashley was starting to see. Thanks for telling me, Mom. Will you come back to help? No. But I hope Austin figures it out. I hung up. 3 weeks later, my mother texted. Bianca, I've been thinking. I owe you an apology. A real one. I should have protected you when you were sick. I should have stood up to your father. I should have been there. I wasn't. I have to live with that. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just needed you to know I see it now. I see what we did. And I'm sorry. I read it 3 times. This was new. My mother had never taken individual responsibility. I sat with it for 2 days. On the 3rd day, I wrote back, I appreciate you saying that. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I hear you. Her response came immediately, that's okay. Whenever you're ready. Or never. Whatever you need. Whatever you need. 4 words. Completely different from the 4 words I'd been given 2 years ago. 6 months later, I was still cancer-free. Dr. Morris had used the word thriving. I'd been promoted again. Creative director with an office overlooking Boston. My plant had made the journey. I was dating Matthew, a history teacher with kind eyes. He knew about my cancer, about my family. He didn't try to fix me. He just showed up. Avery and I still had dinner every Thursday. She was dating Isabella, a surgeon. We were building a life, the family we chose. My mother texted every few weeks. Short messages. I responded sometimes. We weren't close. Maybe we never would be. But we were something. My father's Parkinson's had progressed. He'd agreed to a part-time caregiver. Austin visited twice a week. I hadn't seen them since that dinner. I wasn't sure I ever would. And I was okay with that. If you're watching this, maybe you're in the position I was 2 years ago. Maybe you're in a hospital bed, and the people who were supposed to love you have made it clear you're not their priority. Maybe you're wondering if it's your fault. I spent 28 years believing that. Then I got cancer and learned the truth. Some people will not show up no matter what you do. You could be dying, and they would still find something more important. That's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of theirs. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to say no to people who only reach out when they need something. You are allowed to build a family out of people who actually love you. Forgiveness is a process, not a performance. You don't have to forgive on anyone's timeline. And if you never forgive, that's your right too. Those 4 words I said to my father, I can't deal with this right now, they weren't revenge. They were a mirror. I held up his own words and let him see what they felt like. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is tell the truth. And sometimes the truth sets you free. I'm Bianca. I'm 30 years old. Cancer survivor. And I've learned something that took me way too long to understand. Family isn't blood. Family is who shows up when you need them most. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who never loved you back. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this story, share it with others, and don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about finding your strength when the people who should have your back turn away. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself.